In the shadow of the pyramids, under the reign of a pharaoh whose name echoed with power, a king knelt before the silent gods. His heart, heavy with longing, ached for an heir. Prayers, whispered and fervent, rose like incense towards the heavens. Finally, the gods answered. A son, a beautiful babe with eyes like polished obsidian, was born. But joy turned to chilling dread as the Hathors, spirits of the wild with eyes that held the secrets of fate, descended upon the royal birthing chamber. Their voices, a chorus both ancient and terrifying, declared the newborn prince's destiny: he will die by the crocodile, the snake, or the dog. Despair choked the king. To protect his beloved son, he defied logic and reason. In the heart of the searing desert, a monument to isolation, rose a palace of gleaming stone, a gilded cage. Here, the prince grew up, surrounded by luxury and a coterie of servants, yet haunted by the prophecy that hung over him like a venomous cobra. He trained his body with sword and shield, his mind with the wisdom of scrolls, but the knowledge of his impending doom gnawed at his soul. One scorching afternoon, a glint of metal caught his eye from the palace tower. A lone figure trudged across the sun-baked dunes, a strange creature by its side. A dog. The prince, his heart pounding with a yearning he couldn't explain, demanded to know more. A loyal servant returned with the curious animal, a ball of playful energy that filled the sterile palace with warmth and the sound of joyful barks. Despite the whispers of his advisors, the king, seeing the spark of life return to his son's eyes, allowed the dog to stay. It became the prince's confidante, his only true friend in a world of gilded bars. Years passed. The prince, a man of exceptional strength and intellect, grew restless within the confines of his opulent prison. The prophecy gnawed at him, a constant reminder of the life he wasn't living. Finally, one moonless night, he confided in his loyal dog, his voice thick with a mix of fear and determination. The dog, its brown eyes usually filled with playful mischief, seemed to understand. With a pounding heart, the prince enacted his daring escape. A chariot, provisioned for the harsh desert journey, stood waiting. His loyal servant, tears glistening in his eyes, bid him farewell. With a final, lingering glance at the gilded cage that had been his home, the prince, accompanied by his canine companion, rode into the unforgiving desert, the weight of the prophecy heavy on his chest. His journey was fraught with peril. Sandstorms whipped at him, the relentless sun beat down, and the ever-present threat of dehydration loomed large. But the prince persevered, fueled by a desire for freedom and a gnawing hope of defying his preordained fate. Finally, after weeks of hardship, he emerged from the dunes into a land unlike any he had ever seen: Naharin, a kingdom known for its fierce warriors and even fiercer women. Here, a princess of unparalleled beauty was held captive in a tower that scraped the heavens. Her hand in marriage, a prize beyond compare, would be bestowed upon the suitor who could reach her window, a dizzying feat that defied gravity itself. Disguised as a humble Egyptian officer fleeing a wicked stepmother, the prince infiltrated the court of the furious king. Suitors from far and wide boasted of their prowess, attempting impossible leaps that ended in bone-jarring falls. The prince, observing silently, felt a flicker of fear. Could he, burdened by the knowledge of his impending doom, achieve this seemingly impossible feat? The day of the competition arrived. As each suitor met his inevitable failure, the prince felt a surge of defiance. When his turn came, he stood at the base of the tower, the princess, a vision of ethereal beauty, watching him with wide, hopeful eyes. With a silent prayer to the gods, the prince launched himself into the air. In a display of incredible agility that left the court gasping, he reached the princess's window, his hand outstretched. Their eyes met. In that single glance, a connection sparked, a flicker of recognition, a shared defiance against fate. But their joy was short-lived. The furious king, enraged at the prospect of his daughter marrying a mere fugitive, threatened to banish the prince. The princess, however, stepped forward, her voice ringing with steely resolve. She declared that she would take her own life if this daring stranger, who had defied logic itself, was harmed. Faced with his daughter's determination and the prince's noble bearing, the king reluctantly relented. The prince and princess were married, and their love blossomed in the opulent palace grounds. Yet the shadow of the prophecy loomed large. The princess, haunted by the words of the Hathors, pleaded with the prince to banish the dog. "It is the harbinger of your death," she cried, her voice laced with fear. "Let us send it far away, break the chain of fate." But the prince, his heart filled with a loyalty that transcended fear, refused. "This faithful companion," he said, his voice firm, "has been by my side through thick and thin. To abandon him now would be a betrayal of the bond we share." Despite the unease that gnawed at her heart, the princess accepted his decision. Life in the palace continued, a fragile peace punctuated by stolen glances at the dog and the ever-present awareness of the ticking clock. One day, a rumor reached the palace, carried on the desert wind like a harbinger of doom. A monstrous crocodile, rumored to be the size of a warship, had emerged from the Nile and was wreaking havoc on the nearby settlements. The prince, a man of action and a protector by nature, felt a surge of unease. Could this be the embodiment of his fate, finally come to claim him? Then came another whisper, more chilling than the first. The crocodile, it seemed, wasn't alone. It was locked in a relentless battle with a demon, a creature of pure shadow with eyes that burned like embers. The land trembled with the force of their clashes, and the people lived in terror. The princess, her eyes filled with a newfound resolve, revealed a hidden truth. "My father," she confessed, "was once a renowned crocodile hunter. He spoke of a prophecy that a man, marked by fate, would one day aid a great crocodile in defeating a demon that threatened the balance of the world." A horrifying realization dawned on the prince. He wasn't meant to be killed by the crocodile, he was meant to work with it. But how could he, a man raised in the lap of luxury, hope to face such monstrous creatures? As if sensing his doubt, the dog approached him, its fur bristling with static electricity. A voice, deep and resonating, echoed in the prince's mind. "We are your fate," it spoke, the voice both sorrowful and resolute. "Together, we can defeat the demon and rewrite your destiny." Terror warred with a newfound purpose within the prince. Here was a chance to defy the prophecy, not through defiance, but through acceptance. He could embrace his fate and become a legend, not a victim. With a steely glint in his eyes, the prince turned to his princess. "I must go," he declared, his voice firm. "This is not just about me anymore. It's about the safety of this land." The princess, her heart heavy with fear but filled with admiration, nodded her consent. Armed with his trusty sword, a shield etched with ancient symbols, and the unwavering loyalty of his canine companion, the prince rode out of the palace gates, not as a doomed fugitive, but as his hero in the making. His journey towards the epicenter of the battle would be fraught with danger, but the fate of the land, and perhaps even his own life, hung in the balance.